I, 38 male. Guess I should explain how someone ends up being a licensed attorney while their wife thinks they're just a freelance IT consultant. Spoiler, it wasn't some master plan, just a series of decisions that, looking back, probably saved me from complete financial ruin. Met Victoria when I was 26. She was everything beautiful, ambitious, working at a high-end marketing firm. I was finishing law school at night while doing IT work during the day to pay bills. When we started dating, she made it clear she couldn't be with someone in a boring profession like law. Said lawyers were all stuffy old men who argued about paperwork. So I didn't mention the law degree. Told her I was focusing on tech consulting full-time. Yeah, I know. Stupid. But I was young and she was way out of my league. Or so I thought. We got married 2 years later. By then, I'd passed the bar, kept my license active, but never practiced. The IT consulting was actually going well, making decent money, flexible hours. Victoria loved telling people her husband was in tech. She'd literally introduce me at parties as my husband, the tech entrepreneur. Fast forward 10 years. The marriage wasn't what I'd hoped. Victoria had expensive tastes that grew exponentially each year. Designer everything. Trips to exclusive resorts. A house we couldn't really afford, but she needed for her image. I worked 70-hour weeks to keep up. She worked maybe 20 hours at her job, spent the rest at the gym, salon, or with her friends. The breaking point came 6 months ago. Found out she'd been having an affair with Derek, her CrossFit trainer. Classic, right? But here's the kicker. She'd been paying him $3,000 a month for private sessions from our joint. Wait, no, from MY business account she had access to for emergencies. Those sessions were definitely private, just not the kind involving exercise. When I confronted her, she laughed. Actually laughed. Said I was too boring, too predictable, that Derek was a real man who knew how to live. Then she said the words that sealed her fate. I want a divorce. And I'm taking you for everything. You can barely dress yourself properly. You think you can handle a divorce without me destroying you. I said okay. Filed the next day. Update 1. The divorce papers were served, and Victoria went nuclear. But not in the way you'd expect. She hired Reginald Ashworth from Ashworth and Associates. If you don't know the name, he's one of those lawyers who advertises on billboards. We fight dirty, so you don't have to. She called me the day after hiring him. Couldn't resist gloating. Reggie says you're an idiot for not getting a lawyer. He's going to make sure you're living in your car by the time this is over. Maybe Derek and I will buy your house at the foreclosure auction. I just said, noted. What Victoria didn't know was that I'd spent the last 2 weeks preparing. See, maintaining a law license for 10 years means required continuing education. I kept up with family law changes, divorce proceedings, everything. Boring weekend seminars that were about to pay off. First court date was yesterday. Preliminary hearing for temporary orders. I showed up in my best suit, which, granted, wasn't saying much according to Victoria's standards. She showed up in designer, everything, Derek in tow. Yeah, she brought her affair partner to court. Bold move. Ashworth immediately tried to intimidate me in the hallway. You know, it's not too late to get representation. I know some budget lawyers who might take pity on you. Maybe payment plans. Victoria chimed in, loud enough for everyone to hear. He probably can't even afford the consultation fee. I've been supporting this loser for years. He fixes computers for a living. The bailiff called us in. Judge Martinez, older woman, no-nonsense type. Ashworth stood up, all swagger. Your Honor, my client is seeking temporary spousal support of $8,000 monthly, exclusive use of the marital home, and payment of all her legal fees. Respondent appears pro se, which speaks to his financial situation. Judge Martinez looked at me. Sir, are you representing yourself? I am, Your Honor. Victoria actually snorted. Ashworth smirked. Very well, the judge said. Do you have any objection to petitioner's requests? I do, Your Honor. May I approach? Ashworth rolled his eyes. Your Honor, perhaps we should advise Mr. Thompson of proper court procedures. I'm familiar with the procedures, I said, pulling out my documents. I'd like to submit Exhibit A through K for the court's consideration. The look on Ashworth's face when I properly referenced evidence rules and submitted perfectly formatted legal documents? Priceless. But wait, it gets better. Your Honor, I continued, Exhibit A demonstrates that petitioner has been withdrawing $3,000 monthly from my business account for the past 18 months, allegedly for fitness training. Exhibit B through D are credit card statements showing petitioner's personal expenses averaging $12,000 monthly, none of which contributed to household necessities. Exhibit E is particularly interesting. It's a social media post from petitioner dated last week, stating, and I quote, "Can't wait to take him for everything he's worth. Already planning my victory vacation with my real man." Victoria went pale. Ashworth fumbled with his papers. Judge Martinez looked through the documents, eyebrows rising. "Mr. Ashworth, are you aware your client posted about her intentions publicly?" That's taken out of context. The context seems pretty clear. Mr. Thompson, continue. Your Honor, regarding spousal support, I'd like to reference State Code Section 14-10-114, subsection 3, which clearly states that marital misconduct, particularly economic fault, can be considered in support determinations. The $54,000 taken from my business account without authorization constitutes economic misconduct. The judge was now looking at me with interest. You seem surprisingly well-versed in family law, Mr. Thompson. I try to be prepared, Your Honor. Victoria leaned over to whisper urgently to Ashworth. He stood up, flustered. Your Honor, we'd like to request a continuance to review these unexpectedly professional submissions. Denied. Mr. Thompson, anything else? Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to address the issue of legal fees. Exhibit K is a retainer agreement between petitioner and Mr. Ashworth for $50,000, paid from an account containing funds transferred from our joint assets 2 days before filing. This appears to be dissipation of marital assets, which under precedent set in Hughes v. Hughes should be credited against petitioner's share of the marital estate. Ashworth's face went red. How did you? Discovery is a wonderful thing, I said mildly. Judge Martinez actually seemed to be fighting a smile. Mr. Thompson, I have to ask, what exactly do you do for a living? I run an IT consulting firm, Your Honor. Half of the past 12 years. I see. Well, based on the evidence presented, I'm denying all requests for temporary support. Furthermore, petitioner is ordered to return the $54,000 taken from respondent's business account within 30 days. We'll revisit the issue of permanent orders at trial. Mr. Ashworth, I suggest you better prepare your client for what's ahead. Mr. Thompson seems quite capable of protecting his interests. Victoria exploded. This is bullshit. He can't know all this. He fixes computers. He probably Googled it. Oh, Mrs. Thompson, you will control yourself in my courtroom, the judge warned. As we left, Derek was comforting a crying Victoria, while Ashworth looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. He cornered me outside. Who's really helping you? No paralegal, no matter how good, could prepare those documents. I just smiled. See you at trial, counselor. Update 2. So, discovery phase has been illuminating. Ashworth tried every dirty trick in the book. Buried me in document requests, scheduled depositions at impossible times, filed motion after motion. What he didn't expect was me responding to everything within 24 hours, properly formatted, with case citations. He even tried to claim I must be practicing law without a license by representing myself so competently. Filed a complaint with the State Bar. That backfired spectacularly when the bar responded that pro-SE litigants are allowed to be as competent as they want to be. But the real fun came during Victoria's deposition. See, in discovery, I'd requested all communications between her and Derek. She claimed they'd only been involved for 2 months. Her text said otherwise. 3 years. 3 years of, I can't wait to be done with that pathetic loser, and just a little longer until I can take him for everything. My favorite was from Derek to her. Babe, how much do you think we can get? I'm looking at boats online. During the deposition, which Ashworth insisted on conducting himself despite me being pro-SE, things got interesting. Me, Mrs. Thompson, Can you explain this text from June 2 years ago where you tell Mr. Derek, quote, I'm only staying until I can figure out how to get the most money. Victoria, that's private. Ashworth, objection, relevance. Me, goes to the issue of marital misconduct and length of the affair, counselor. Very relevant to asset division under state law. Ashworth, you can't make objections. You're not a lawyer. Me, I'm not making objections. I'm responding to yours. May I continue? The court reporter actually smirked. But here's where Victoria really screwed herself. She got cocky, thought she could outsmart me. Victoria, you know what? Fine. Yes, I've been seeing Derek for 3 years. So what? You're boring. You have no ambition. You fix computers while real men like Derek actually do something with their lives. I deserve better than some pathetic tech support guy. Me, I see. And what does Mr. Derek do for a living? Victoria, he's a fitness entrepreneur. Me, according to his tax returns, which were subpoenaed, he made $11,000 last year. Total. Victoria, that's because he's building his brand. Me, for 3 years. She went on a rant about how I didn't understand success, how Derek was going to be huge in the fitness industry, how I was just jealous. All on the record. All admissible. Ashworth tried to stop her, but she was on a roll. Talked about how she'd been planning this divorce for years, how she'd hidden assets, how she made sure to max out credit cards before filing because he'd have to pay half the debt anyway. By the end, even Ashworth looked defeated. Update 3. Ashworth tried to negotiate a settlement. Came to me with an offer. Look, let's be reasonable. Victoria gets the house. You pay $3,000 monthly for 2 years. Split the rest 50/50ths. Nobody needs to get hurt here. No. You realize if this goes to trial, it could get ugly. Victoria is prepared to talk about intimate matters. Your, inadequacies. That's fine. He stared at me. You're either the most confident man I've ever met or the stupidest. Maybe both. What Ashworth didn't know was that I'd been preparing something special for trial. See, Victoria had been posting on Instagram throughout our marriage. Lots of posts about her fabulous life, expensive purchases, trips with Derek, tagged as bestie while I was working. But the metadata on those photos? GPS coordinates, timestamps, really helpful for establishing timeline of the affair. But the crown jewel? A video she'd posted on her private Instagram story, which her friend Melissa screen recorded and sent to me after Victoria had screwed her over in some MLM scheme. In it, Victoria is drunk at a wine night, talking about her master plan to take that loser for everything and how thank God he's too stupid to get a real lawyer. I file my witness list. Ashworth called within an hour. Who the hell is Melissa Crawford? A witness. To what? You'll find out at trial. He tried to get her testimony excluded. Motion denied. Tried to claim the video was inadmissible. Motion denied. The judge was getting tired of his tactics. Then, 2 days before trial, Victoria made her biggest mistake. She went on social media and posted, "Can't wait for court Monday. Watching my idiot ex try to play lawyer is going to be hilarious. Derek and I already have the champagne ready. Hashtag divorce selfie, hashtag upgrade your life, hashtag buy loser." I screenshot it, added it to my exhibits. Final update. Monday morning. The courtroom was packed. Apparently word had gotten out about the pro-SE guy who was driving Ashworth crazy. Victoria showed up in a $3,000 dress. I know because she'd charged it to my credit card before I canceled it. Derek was there in the gallery, designer sunglasses on indoors. Judge Martinez looked at both tables. "Are we ready to proceed?" "Yes, Your Honor," Ashworth said, looking confident despite everything. "Yes, Your Honor," I replied. "Mr. Thompson," the judge said, "last chance. Are you sure you want to proceed without counsel?" "I'm sure, Your Honor." Victoria whispered something to Ashworth and smirked. The trial started with Ashworth's opening. He painted Victoria as a devoted wife who'd suffered through years of neglect with a workaholic husband who cared more about computers than his marriage. Derek was just a friend who'd been there for support. My turn. "Your Honor, I'll prove that this marriage ended not because of neglect, but because of greed." The petitioner conducted a 3-year affair, stole $54,000, hid assets, and by her own recorded admission, stayed in the marriage specifically to, quote, take him for everything. I presented my evidence methodically. The texts, the bank records, the social media posts, each piece building on the last. Ashworth objected constantly, but I knew the rules of evidence better than he expected. Then came Melissa's testimony. She detailed how Victoria had bragged about her plan, showed the video. Victoria's drunk confession played in the silent courtroom. The idiot thinks I love him. 3 more years, and I'll get half his business, the house, everything. Derek and I already picked out which out we're buying with the settlement money. Victoria looked sick. Ashworth objected on every ground he could think of. All overruled. But the moment everyone's been waiting for, the big reveal. It came during my cross-examination of Victoria. Me, Mrs. Thompson, you've stated multiple times that I'm, quote, too stupid to handle this divorce properly. Can you elaborate? Victoria, getting confident again. You fix computers. You're not a lawyer. This whole thing is you trying to pretend you're something you're not. Me, I see. And you believe legal knowledge is important in situations like this? Victoria, obviously. That's why I hired a real lawyer while you're playing pretend. Me, interesting. Your Honor, may I submit Exhibit Z? Ashworth, objection. That wasn't on the exhibit list. Me, it's impeachment evidence, Your Honor. Goes to credibility of the witness. Judge, I'll allow it. I handed the bailiff a document. The judge's eyes widened as she read it. Me, Mrs. Thompson, can you read the highlighted portion? Victoria, confused, reading, active license to practice law in the state of, wait, what? Me, please continue. Victoria, voice getting smaller, issued to Joshua Thompson, 10 years ago, in good standing. The courtroom erupted. Ashworth jumped up. Your Honor, this is, he's been practicing law without disclosure. Me, no, counselor. I've been representing myself, which any citizen can do. I simply happen to be qualified to do so. I've maintained my license through continuing education while running my IT firm. I've never practiced law for money, never held myself out as an attorney to clients. I just chose a different career path. Judge Martinez was clearly trying not to laugh. Mr. Thompson, why didn't you disclose this earlier? No one asked, Your Honor. And frankly, watching opposing counsel assume I was incompetent has been advantageous to my case. Victoria screamed. You lied to me? Our whole marriage is a lie. Me? I told you I had a law degree. You said you didn't want to be married to a lawyer, so I didn't practice. I never lied. You just never asked if I maintained my license. The judge called a recess. In the hallway, Ashworth approached me, looking defeated. 10 years. You've had a law license for 10 years, and let me make a fool of myself. You did that on your own, counselor. Derek had disappeared. Victoria was crying in the bathroom. When we reconvened, Ashworth tried to argue that my non-disclosure somehow invalidated everything. The judge shut him down quickly. Mr. Ashworth, there's no requirement for a party to disclose their educational background in a divorce proceeding unless specifically asked. Mr. Thompson chose not to practice law professionally. That's not deception. That's career choice. The ruling was swift and brutal. Divorce granted on grounds of adultery. Victoria got 20% of marital assets. Judge cited economic misconduct and dissipation. She had to repay the $54,000 stolen from my business. No spousal support. She had to pay her own attorney fees. The house would be sold, proceeds split according to asset division. Victoria's response. This is impossible. He tricked everyone. He's been lying this whole time. Judge Martinez. Mrs. Thompson, the only deception I've seen proven in this courtroom is yours. Mr. Thompson simply chose not to advertise his qualifications. You chose to steal, cheat, and by your own words, plan to take him for everything. You gambled and lost. As we left court, Ashworth muttered, I'm sending you my resume. Any firm that could hire you would be lucky. I'm good with computers, thanks. Victoria and Derek broke up within a week. Turns out he was only interested when he thought there'd be money. She moved back with her parents. Posted one last social media rant about manipulative ex-husbands before her lawyer probably told her to shut up. Me, still fixing computers, still maintaining my law license, and definitely still enjoying the thought of Victoria's face when she realized she'd been mocking a licensed attorney for 6 months. The moral? Maybe don't assume the quiet IT guy doesn't know what he's doing. And definitely don't put your criminal plans on Instagram. Oh, and yes, I'm keeping the screenshot of her watching my idiot ex try to play lawyer post. Framed it. It's in my office, right next to my law degree and bar admission certificate.